Hi, everybody. Welcome to week number 3. We're just chugging right along here. As I said, the class moves pretty fast. In week number 3, we are going to be covering chapters 5, 6, and 7. And really, five is an overview of the topic of management. It says management of business, but we really could think of it as management of any kind of organization, whether it be business, nonprofit, an educational institution, medical facility. Everything has to be managed. And so we're going to talk about the basic tenets of management. The key thing one of the key things you're going to hear about when we and read about when we cover the subject is there are 4 kind of pillars to the process of management. The first one is there's a planning pillar. There is a where we think about what we need to do, what we're trying to get done. There's a lot that goes into that, and you'll read about that. There is a an organizing pillar because we have to think about how do we take our resources and align them in a way that allows us to fulfill the plans that we've created. There is a leadership pillar, which where we have to think about actually leading the organization forward to achieve those goals, and then there's a controlling aspect of management. There's a controlling pillar, which is our way of kind of just saying, assessing where we're at and what changes do we need to make in the plan. As you can see, it's a bit of a process that um, it's not linear certainly by any stretch of the imagination. It goes back and forth as we work through it, and we call that total process management. All right, so look at that pretty closely. All right, so the three so those are the 3 chapters, and again, heads up, 3 chapters means we have 3 quizzes also, and we have 1 discussion post. We're gonna limit that to um, kind of anchoring it on chapter 5, and it's a video about. I'm gonna open up our page here, our D2L site. Okay, so I'm going to go under content, and when I look at module 6, which is covers chapter 5. There's several really interesting videos out there, but one you're going to need to watch is I call it Bill Gates a Prophet, and you need to watch that for our discussion in our discussion board. And it has to do with the planning aspect of management. And you can watch this video, and it's just uncanny. When you watch it, you're going to think it's like, oh, he must have, um, you know, this must have been produced after COVID. It was done well before COVID, probably 4 or 5 years before COVID was even a thing. So the question basically in the discussion post is, were we ready? And think about planning, think about the aspect, all the things that go into planning, look at some of the particulars attached to it, and you might be amazed at how prepared we weren't for COVID. Okay. By the way, just as a side note to it, this thing called Pandemic Playbook, this is just really incredible. It was a plan that was already in place, put in place by the Obama administration, largely in response to an endemic that was going to turn into a pandemic, it seemed, called Ebola. And that sort of prompted us to say, hey, we really need to be prepared to deal with a pandemic should it take place. Lo and behold, that took place in COVID. But we basically did in all the planning that we had done. So I want you to take a quick read through that. You don't have to study it closely. It's a pretty long document. Just kind of flip through it and think, gee, I wonder if we had that stuff in place, how things might have been different. So you need to look at both those things to do a good discussion post. All right, and there's some really interesting also topics that I cover in some videos here that you might want to look at. One of them is, can management be replaced by artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a pretty hot topic these days in just about every aspect of business, and and so we're thinking it's like, well, I wonder if AI can actually replace management. So that's what that video takes on, and also you're going to hear about the concept of a mission statement and a vision statement for an organization. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's very those this topic is very confusing to a lot of people not just students in this class. And I work with businesses all the time that really struggle to define what their mission and vision statements are. They have them. I mean, they're unwritten, but they have them. But it's just hard for them to articulate it. So take a look at that. It really does a really great job of distinguishing between what's a mission statement and what's a vision statement. Okay, so good luck reading through the chapters. Good luck with the discussion posts. One quick note on discussion posts. I'll take the opportunity to talk about it right now. Um, you guys did really well on our first go round with it, and when we talk about tariffs, what I probably said to most of you was make sure we're referencing and citing some class material, because again, the purpose of the discussion post is, yeah, to have a well-considered perspective on the question being asked, but basing it on and demonstrating your knowledge of what we're covering in class. So there's plenty in this next discussion post that you can go back and refer to. That I'm really be looking for that in your citations. So I think and the citations are real simple. We don't really need to worry about the exact formal format of them, because basically we're using the materials that we see here in the content, plus the textbook material chapter as well. So it's pretty limited. You can just say textbook, page 121 or something like that. That works fine to do a citation. And you can quote things right out of the textbook as well, or any of these other documents that we have here. So yeah, just make them a little, expound on what you're talking about by citing class material, and we will definitely be improving what the real purpose is of our discussion post. Okay, so hopefully that helps you. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. I know we do these things 1 week at a time, but I'm going to show you something that's coming up. Again, this class moves real fast, right? So next week, at the end of next week, is when our first test is coming about, and it's covering materials that we covered up to this point, including the material that we cover next week, are all fair game for the test. So I strongly suggest to make sure you get through all that material before you attempt to take the test. One other note, if you have not successfully taken the test and signed up with HonorLock, you have to do that. You will not be able to take test one. You literally will not be able to launch it. I'll talk more about test taking and what goes on with it in the next video for next week, but suffice to say that you have to get through the test. And by the way this test is set up, you can go back and take it as many times as you want if you just want to get a little more familiar with the whole process of how to take a test. It doesn't affect your grade at all. It's just something for you to learn from. Okay, but make sure we are all signed up for HonorLock. That is really important. You will not be able to take the test if you're not. Okay. And I think that's about it for this week. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. And good luck.